We were talking about trans issues a moment ago, so I wanted to hold off because we have a story here, actually. This is a tweet from Colin Wright, good friend of the show, and it's actually just a repost of an Instagram post from a female amateur skateboarder. He says, female skateboarder Taylor Silverman is speaking out after placing second to a male competitor who identifies as a woman at the Red Bull Cornerstone contest. Silverman and other female skateboarders were robbed of their achievements and prize money that was meant for women. In the post made on Instagram, Taylor Silverman said, "My name is Taylor Silverman. I am a female athlete. I've been skateboarding for 11 years and competing for several years. I have been in 3 different contests with trans women, 2 of which I placed second, and the last contest series I did for Red Bull, I placed second. The trans competitor who won took $1,000 in the qualifiers, $3,000 in finals, and $1,000 in best trick. This totaled $5,000 of the prize money meant for female athletes. I took $1,000 in qualifiers and $1,750 for second place, so $2,750 in total. The girl who took third received $750. The girl who deserved $1,000 for best trick took nothing, along with whoever would have placed third. I deserved to place first, be acknowledged for my win, and get paid. I reached out to Red Bull and was ignored. I am sick of being bullied into silence." In the next post, Taylor Silverman posted the email sent to Red Bull saying, "Hope all is well with you. I am reaching out in hopes of being directed to the right person to express my concerns about what occurred at the Red Bull Cornerstone contest with the transgender competitor in the women's division. Perhaps that is you. If not, hopefully you can put me in contact with the correct person. A biological man with a clear advantage won the women's division, best trick, and also multiple qualifiers. This took away the opportunity that was meant for women to place and earn money. What happened was unfair, and at the time I was too uncomfortable to speak up. I understand that in today's society, even some women think this is acceptable, but I believe in doing the right thing, even if it's not the popular thing. I now realize it's really important for me to speak up, and I'd like to schedule a time to talk." So I have announced that I got my math wrong, but I have announced. I said Timcast will gladly cover the difference and grant Taylor Silverman the $2,250 difference lost to placing behind a male athlete. We will also be willing to cover the total lost revenue for the female athletes who would have placed higher were it not for the male athlete. Now, she didn't lose $2,250. She lost $1,250 because she didn't win best trick. Someone else, I guess you said, would have. And so some people have asked me, they said, you know, Tim, you said that the NCAA women, you know, it's too bad for them or whatever. And I was like, no, hold on. What I said was...
You mean the swimming?
The swimming. I said they are not complaining about it. How can I speak up for them if they're not speaking up for themselves? Taylor Silverman spoke up for herself, said, I don't believe this is fair, and I believe that's deserving of support. And also, totally biased. Mm-hmm. I've been skateboarding my whole life. I had worked with the organization, briefly, mind you, that actually got equal pay for women at the X Games. We've talked about it quite a bit. When I saw this, knowing what I know from skateboarding for, what am I going on, 23 years, knowing about the physical elements, knowing about the physics, Taylor Silverman is absolutely correct. And let me make this point before we get into the bigger picture. Some people have said, in response to me, we had our good friend, the Amazing Atheist, said women should compete in the women's division. I responded to Colin Wright saying that males, have a higher center of gravity. What this means is that from a standing position, a male can ollie higher than a female. Females carry their center of gravity lower, which is better for balance in a lot of ways, but means their ollie height, their jump height will be lower. There are very clear differences and advantages that males will have regardless of hormone replacement therapy. Skateboarding is not a muscle-based sport where it's like the stronger you are, the better you can be. There's aggression, there's grit, like your willingness to take risks, and it's very much control. If you have a higher center of gravity, you're going to be able to clear higher obstacles. Women also have what's called a more pronounced Q angle. That's the quadricep angle, meaning because of the wide hips, the femur and the quadriceps come at a harsher angle than a male would, regardless of hormone replacement therapy. This means that biological females competing at any stage are going to be more prone to leg injuries, knee injuries, ankle injuries. A clear advantage for male athletes, regardless of if they're transitioning or not. So this one, to me, I think needs, I'm biased, obviously, but also the story's gone viral. Everybody's talking about it. I think it's important to talk about, and I think it's important that people like Taylor Silverman are speaking out and saying, I think this is not fair. Now, the crazy element is her post on Instagram has something like, last I checked, 11,000 comments.
Yeah, it's huge.
The anti-Semitism, because Taylor Silverman's Jewish.
Right.
Crazy.
And she has a Star of David in her
right,
bio.
And these are the leftists who hate Israel, who believe in these weird conspiracy theories, like the Farrakhan stuff, and are now going after her and attacking her for being Jewish, simply because she said this is money that was meant for female athletes.
Yeah, I mean, look, the left doesn't care about these things that they claim to when they talk about like racism, sexism, homophobia. In fact, despite their vitriol, they don't even really care about the transgender issue. They just try to use these labels to accuse anyone they think it would be useful to get out of the public discussion. And when it comes to their attacks on other people, they're almost always willing to resort to these labels, but it's never talked about, right? So it's an instance of creating a rule surrounding certain language about ethnicities, like slurs, and then saying we are only going to prosecute one group of people for doing this. So people on the left can get away with it like crazy.
I think they also wanted to figure out how to make sure that white men could be qualified as diversity hires.
I think stories like these are the biggest threat to so-called trans rights, because at this point, when you get into the sports and physically comparing the two, it's unavoidable. Yeah. So I know for a lot of people, they think live and let live. If somebody's above 18, let them go through the process. If they want to get these plastic surgeries to make them look like the opposite sex, fine, it's not hurting anybody. But then once you get down to something like a competition where the differences are obvious, we're going to be seeing more and more cases like this.
Well,
where,
and
like Leah Thomas, for example.
And women's rights activists know about this. Women's rights activists can clearly see that showing the unfairness of men competing against women in women's sports could be the turning point needed.
I want to give a shout out real quick to Taylor Silverman. You can follow her on Instagram, Taylor May Silverman, and on Twitter, I believe her Twitter is TM Silverman, but specifically because she posted on Instagram this: truth sounds like hate to those who hate the truth.
Many people in her position didn't stand. Like for the Leah Thomas, there was no woman who actually stood up.
Only the one who lost.
Yeah, So
this is another interesting thing. Taylor spoke up. I believe it's been a few months since the event, and I actually talked to her. We're maybe working something out, some kind of we'll do an interview or maybe. But it's been a few months actually since the contest, and I looked at her record. She's somebody who actually won, actually got cash. She got second place. She qualifies. She's winning. When it came to the NCAA swim meet, the only person who spoke up was the one who got bumped.
Like in 8th place or whatever it was.
It was like, what was it, 17th or something, 16th place or something?
By the way, I made a decision.
And it wasn't even her. It was actually her teammate who spoke up on her behalf.
Oh, wow.
I am going to start calling all of the people who want men dressed as women to compete in women's sports men's rights activists.
Yes. They are men's rights activists.
You are. If you say that a trans woman should be able to compete in women's sports, you are an MRA.
And you will be adopting the language of radical feminists when you do it. And
bravo,
Seamus.
Look, when women talk, I listen.
Didn't we talk to Vosh about that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we talked about men's rights activism. I said I don't care for using the word men or women. I'll just say male. So when I tweeted this, we had T.J. Kirk is his name, right? The Amazing Atheist.
Yeah, T.J. Kirk.
He said women should compete in the women's division, and then it's absurd to me that you're having a semantic argument. For what reason did we create women's division sports? Was it because sometimes people wear dresses? No, it's because there are biological differences to a great 90% of the time, to a great degree, between males and females. And the colloquial understanding in human society was that man and woman meant male and female. In fact, to most people today, it still does. So when someone says a trans woman is a woman, therefore should compete in the women's division, it's like, we didn't create the women's division based on the clothing you wear.
No. We didn't create the women's division based on how you felt that day. Like, oh, today I've decided what if someone's gender fluid? And I'm serious. That's not just like a dunk on the lips. What if someone is gender fluid? On the day they feel like a woman, do they compete in the women's division?
The answer would be yes. There's actually a CEO in the UK who
makes 70 cents less per dollar when they identify as a woman that day?
No.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I believe it's a CEO who is gender fluid and some days wears pencil skirts and some days wears trousers and was honored as best woman CEO or something like that.
So playing both sides
for the day when he was in the pencil skirt.
One of the difficulties for anyone to speak up is that they're speaking out against people they know. And that's a big component that I think a lot of people should understand. So I know many pro skateboarders. For years, I have been told by many pro skateboarders they're upset with what's happening. They're upset with politics. Many secretly support Trump. And they all say, but I cannot risk my livelihood to speak out. And so, exactly.
Yeah. Well,
don't come to me. But I will say, I wanted to add something to this. There is an issue at play here. And it is a pro skateboarder that I have met and skated with on a couple occasions who's friends with people I know named Leo Baker. Leo Baker is a non-binary, I believe, formerly, I believe, trans man, and before that was a top female athlete named Lacey Baker. And I mean no disrespect, but I have questions. And that question is, when Leo was competing as a female in the women's division as Lacey Baker and winning, Lacey transitions into Leo, says that they're trans, but continues to compete against women. So my problem is, who is coming out and saying that Taylor Silverman is wrong when she says this? Why is it that a biological male can say that they now identify as a woman and compete against women, but a biological female can say, I am now trans, but still compete against women?
It's because everyone knows that it's fake. Everyone is aware of the lie, and we're supposed to just deal with the fact that we know it's a lie and say something that is untrue, which is exactly what happens, which is literally what happens in the book 1984, is that you're supposed to know that, you believe the truth and you speak the lie. And that is the most dangerous aspect of this.
What I want to add to, because when I saw this story, I saw Colin Wright's tweet that Taylor spoke out. Look, Taylor is not somebody who is a prominent pro skateboarder with millions of followers who can risk speaking out and be rich. These pro skateboarders who tell me they can't speak out, I'm like, you own how many houses? You have how many followers? You'd lose half of them. You'd still be rich. Or at the very least, you'd be middle class.
Well, J.K. Rowling speaks out. She's spoken.
Exactly.
She's said that she has lost opportunities. She keeps speaking out. She keeps being active for women's rights. And I have the utmost respect for that. I have the utmost respect for Miss Silverman here. And I hope that, you guys work out a great situation. And that she's able to be, continue being successful in her chosen path. We all know that it's unreasonable. When we saw Leah Thomas swimming in the pool against women, we could all see that it was completely a total lie that this person should be competing against these much shorter, much smaller, much less strong women. And we were just supposed to go along with it anyway. And people did. And it's shocking to see that. And I think that the more this happens and the more we see women athletes start to speak out, the more hopefully the tide will shift on this. And, Beth Stelzer, who does Save Women's Sports, who's a really fascinating person who saw this happen in weightlifting, she's been fierce and fighting on this.
I think the key thing you said there is women, and it needs to come from women. And that's why I think Taylor May is so commendable here, because if it doesn't come from women, I mean, men could bark about this all they want, but it's women who are the victims and are missing the opportunities because of this. So they, unfortunately, in our society, need to be the most vocal about it because people don't like listening to men.
So I'll address one super chat, and they're saying that I complained that the swimmers didn't speak up until after they had lost. So let's break this down. First, is Tim biased? Yes, obviously. I'm a skateboarder. I've been skateboarding for 23 years. So, of course, I see this story and I'm like, oh, harumph, how dare they? But there is a difference. With the NCAA, they had been consistently competing. They knew it was happening. They knew it was going to happen. They had swam more than one time. There were multiple races. My understanding of this story, having dug into it and spoken with some people involved, when you go to a skateboarding contest, you don't know who you're competing against. They say, hey, there's going to be a contest in this place at this time. You go to a local qualifier, then you show up, and all of a sudden you see who you're competing against. My understanding is that this is not an instance that's exactly the same, where this person knew, I'm going to fly to this place and compete in this contest against a trans person. It was, they showed up and said, oh, really? Now, fair criticism. It did take Taylor a few months to speak out. And I think, you need to speak out sooner than that. But that's fine. I mean, look, man, I can be angry and critical. And I think the fact that she was second place, won cash, could have walked away with the cash, not as much cash as she wanted. But instead, she's like, no, I've got to say something about this. Because the woman who got bumped out of the bracket isn't speaking up. like with the NCAA. The woman who got bumped from the bracket was the one who spoke out. And I said, you're only speaking out because you lost the money? Well, in this instance, the person who got bumped didn't speak out, and the person who did get the money is the one speaking out. And I'm like, okay. But either way.
I gotta say, I love that they came for your sport, and you were just like, no, that's it. I'm not doing
Then
it.
they came for skateboarding.
I love it.
Right.
They
love
came
it.
for swimming, and I said nothing
Well,
because
like,
I do not
that's
swim.
not true.
I think there's a fair element
It
there.
really
Absolutely.
isn't.
I think.
But
there's
I think
a fair
that's
element.
great. I think that's great. You know, when you see it happen in your own stuff, I think it really makes a big difference. I saw this happen in theater when suddenly grants that were, because, you know, there were grants like women's plays. Only women should submit plays for this, and, you know, proposals and whatever. And then the granting opportunities and the opportunities that had been specifically for women were suddenly for women or self-identified women. And I was like, what's this about? This is not reasonable. You know, it's not this is not for playwrights who are men in dresses. This is supposed to be for women playwrights. And everything changed. Everything changed very quickly. And that's why, you know, that's in part why I started speaking out about this, because I found that so infuriating and stupid.
It is infuriating, and it's not as if anyone could change the definition of woman. Like, men and women are different, but I do find it comical that women were never asked.
No, because only men
They
get
were
to
literally
decide.
never asked. Dudes started wearing dresses, and like this said, yeah, we're women. And it's like, do you have opinions about that? Like, yes, they're no, you're not allowed to. Like, you're not allowed.
Well, imagine
There was no vote.
a situation.
There was no policy. There was no committee.
Imagine a situation where a 6-foot-tall man in a dress with heels looks down at you and says, "I'm a woman."
I'm
You'd
a
be
woman.
like,
Are you going to say otherwise?
okay.
You're like, yeah, no, you're a woman.
Oh, sure. Okay. Don't
We
hurt me, Mr. Crazy Man.
We try to be
Yeah.
respectful to people who are, you know, we try to be respectful. As I mentioned often, even Ben Shapiro said he would use preferred pronouns in a public setting because it's just easier, though he doesn't agree with it, and wouldn't use it in an academic or a journalistic setting. We are the tolerant. We say, I may not like it, but, you know, I'm going to mind my own business. You know, you do your thing. And that's how gay marriage comes to pass. We're like, okay, look, you're gonna get your tax benefits. You can go into your home. You can do your thing. And then it's funny because there's that meme from 2000 and was it 2008, 12 or something, or 2000? Yeah, it was like, what happens if gay marriage becomes legalized? And it's like World War III will happen. People will start teaching kids about gay sex, and it's just like,
and here we are.
Those things are happening.
That's what's going down.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.